Thank you for this. It's very helpful. So you've done very well with your customer service excellence. Tell me why. Why did you want to do this in the first place? What was the rationale?
Well, we started out as using it as a management improvement tool specifically for my directorate within Charnwood Borough Council. Mm-hmm. And then we thought it was important to share the learning across the whole organisation and to create a path for improvement and for excellence across the whole organisation.
Okay. I noticed in the report that the assessor commended you because the leaders themselves were role models. First thing he said was there was a commitment from the top, and then the leaders were role models. How did you get that buy-in at that level?
I think we need to make a decision at a strategic level. So the senior management team were very keen that it was part of our corporate objectives, and our leader and our members were 100% behind it. And I think any organisation needs that leadership from the top.
Yes.
I think also as well, to be clear, we're all passionate about the customer.
Yeah.
You know, we really believe in putting the customer first. That's what Charnwood believes, and it's in our corporate plan, and it's in our values. Right. And once that comes across to other people in the teams, then we all get buy-in then. I think across the organisation we had ambassadors and champions across all teams who came together as a corporate group to work together on the assessment. So it wasn't just from the top, it was the golden thread throughout the organisation.
Okay, so getting commitment from the top was important in the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think getting commitment from the top gives that leadership, but also you need to make sure all of your teams are passionate about it, and also they understand the process and why it's key to services as well. It's about advancing excellence.
Right. So how did you communicate that through the whole of the organisation? Because there was a tremendous commitment at all levels.
Well, there was a key message through all of our comms plans, our communications plans, and there was also ongoing meetings across teams, so across all services, so that it was on message all the time.
Right.
Everybody was talking about it, and I think that makes it infectious as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just about thou shalt, it's saying, you know, we want to do this together, is this something that you want to do? So it's will as opposed to telling as well.
Yes.
It's very important.
Yeah. And in areas, I know you've got a contact centre as well, and these are customer-facing people. Was there training given for these people, or what was involved in getting them behind it?
Well, naturally our contact centre is trained in customer service anyway, and you're quite right, they are the first avenue for the customers. They come through Charnwood Borough Council, so it's very important that they're welcoming and they understand customer service standards. So they were part of the team that also then looked towards performing to these standards, and they're very detailed standards, so it was important all teams understood that. But you're absolutely right, that thread and that message was part of their mantra as well, effectively.
Okay, wonderful. So you've done extremely well with it.
Really
now
pleased.
you look back on it and the journey that you've taken, and it is a journey, because I know you still got long, you know, there's ways you want to go. But as you look back on it, what were some of the lessons you learned along the way?
I think it's important to prepare early, and the point that you made about communicating it across the organisation. I think also not to forget, Charnwood Borough Council, like other local authorities and other organisations, is we had to make sure our partners were on board. And we did that from the start as well, and we had very willing partners. And you need to get the message across to them as to why it's important to us and to our values.
Okay.
I think it's a bit like exercise, it's continuous improvement, and you've got to work at it all the time. So this isn't something that we're going to leave in the drawer till next time. The teams are already preparing for the next assessment, and we're using that as a continuous tool, so the teams are continuing to meet on that.
Yeah.
I think it's also very important to understand, you're absolutely right, we were thrilled to get the award, and it means that much to Charnwood. People were very nervous and very keen to make sure we succeeded, and it's not because it was a tool to beat staff over the head with, it was because we wanted to do it together, and it meant a lot to work across teams for it. So it's an important award for our reputation, but it's also in our values and how we conduct ourselves. So going forward, we want to make sure we have lots of preparation and that it becomes embedded in the organisation's values every week and every month, and the meetings monthly and quarterly will continue towards our next assessment.
Wonderful. So let me see if I can encapsulate that in something, and then you tell me if I'm right or wrong. What I'm hearing is commitment from the top, buy-in and ownership at every level.
That's correct. And having the values and transmitting those values, that your customers actually understand what those values are, what that message is, and that you can use that in an improvement tool in everyday work in the organisation.
Wow, brilliant. So last question, somebody's thinking about it. What would your message be to them? What would you recommend it? And what would you say that they need to think about before they get started?
Absolutely, without hesitation, recommend it. It did nothing but good in our organisation around creating a culture of continuous improvement, building on our existing successes, giving pride to the staff, but it also gave us a structure to work towards. So in working towards that, my suggestion would be is make sure that you start early, listen to the guidance that is around the CSE, the Customer Service Excellence tool, because it is detailed and it is important to understand that. Make sure you've got your evidence base and make sure your staff understand that evidence base. And most of all, enjoy it. It is a tool to make sure that the staff understand why it's important to the customer. And that pride and satisfaction, that has to be worth enjoying.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. We're delighted.
Okay.